All right. I kind of want to keep moving on with theist callers. Okay. Andrew in Ohio. You're live with Eric and Drew.
Hey, Eric. How you doing?
Hello.
Hey.
Can you hear me good?
Yeah. Can you hear Drew?
Hello.
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right. What would you like to talk about?
I don't know. It doesn't matter. I guess we can talk about the design argument.
Well, it does matter. If it's not interesting, we probably should move on to an interesting call. I mean, you want to talk about design?
Yeah.
That kind of picks up from the last call, doesn't it?
If you have something unique that you wanted to bring in that you told the call screener, then that's totally fine.
Have you gone over the premises of what the argument from design is?
No, I was just looking for arguments from more scientific arguments.
So let's go over the premises first. Can you lay out the premises for what the argument from design is? Just so we can inform. This is an educational show.
Well, when we just look at the Earth, the magnetic field, how it protects us from solar winds.
No, that is not the argument from design. That is an argument from design. I'm asking you what the actual premises to the logical argument from design is. Right, premise one.
Are we talking about life on Earth?
No. We're talking about things appearing to be designed, and if they're, Do you want me to give? I mean, do you have the argument from design on you? Do you know what the argument from design is?
I was just going to use some science to try to demonstrate how rare life is on Earth.
Right. So, I'm just going to read it to you because it's very, very simple. And we can go from there.
We are a nonprofit educational organization.
We are. So the teleological argument, or the argument from design, I'm pulling up Princeton here. All right. Ready? All right. First, it is an indisputable and yet remarkable fact that many natural objects appear to have been designed for a purpose. Example, the eye for seeing, the hand for grasping, etc. That's premise one. Premise two, the only reasonable explanation for this appearance of purpose is that natural things are ultimately the product of an immensely powerful supernatural intelligence, namely God. That's premise two. Premise three, therefore it is reasonable to believe that God exists. So which of those premises do you think that we have a problem with?
The third one.
The second one. The second one. The third one's the conclusion. The second one, though, that it is reasonable to explain this by saying that it has to be the product of God, right? That's a statement that just is not supported. It's throwing something out there. And so as we talk about this, I want people to understand that we're attacking the second premise because a logical argument, right, a good argument means that true premises lead to true conclusions. Right? So we're looking at whether or not those premises pan out. And if they don't pan out, then we can't be sure whether or not the conclusion is true. So let's take a look at your premises. Now, what argument did you want to bring up about design? Let's give us your best because we have a bunch of other callers and not a whole bunch of time left, but I want to make sure that we get the time to at least address one.
Just the atmosphere, how we have 5 different layers of our atmosphere, the stratosphere, the troposphere.
Okay.
Atmosphere.
Okay. What about it?
We have a magnetic. Go ahead.
What about it?
The fact that protects us. We also have a magnetic field that protects us from solar winds, but Mars and Venus do not have one.
Okay. So what?
Just the rare design of the Earth, how it's the perfect distance from the sun. It's 93 million miles from the sun. Our sun's a type G star.
These are all facts you're throwing out there. That's fantastic. So what?
Well, it's how we're going to look at things different.
No, it seems like we're agreeing on the type of star it is and that we have an atmosphere and other planets don't have atmospheres. I don't know why you think that an atmosphere is rare. I'd want to question that, but I think that's a rabbit hole. I'd rather attack really what the premise is here. So what?
But we both agree that the Earth is in the habitable zone.
Yes.
But would you agree that the moon's in the habitable zone?
You know what? I don't have the science for it. Drew, do you?
It's in the habitable zone, yes.
Yeah, because it's circling the Earth, and the Earth is in the habitable zone, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's within a certain distance from the sun, depending on how. Yes, the moon would be in the habitable zone,
Okay.
but it's not. That doesn't mean that it's habitable.
Right, because it needs to have the existence of all of these other elements like water and...
Right, it doesn't have a magnetic
nitrogen.
field. That's probably one of the biggest things, so it wouldn't collect enough of an atmosphere. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so we have a moon and it circles the Earth. So what?
Well, planet Mars. Well, you look at the other planets. Our moon and how it affects the tides and everything. You can just see the design in that.
So does seeing the design in that defend that second premise that necessitates the only way that could possibly be understood or explained is through a God?
I'm not trying to prove God today. I'm just trying to give you some evidence of how rare life is on Earth.
I think that we're very well aware of it, and that's something that I think is really astonishing. You know, I definitely marvel in that. I mean, it's something that's like the closest thing to a spiritual experience. I think it is the same as a spiritual experience. I just understand it to be natural, and that's the real difference. So I think that we get that.
I think it's natural, but I don't think that it's necessarily rare. We just don't have enough data.
Yeah.
But I know, because we're looking for habitable zone planets all the time.
Yeah. So again, so what? If you say it looks designed, okay, how did you get to that conclusion? Have you designed planets? Have you seen planets designed? Have you compared them against planets that haven't been designed? And if there are planets that haven't been designed, then how do you compare them with each other? So you're saying Venus has not been designed and Earth was?
Correct. Venus has an atmosphere, but it's so hot that it would melt lead.
No, that's not what I asked. I said, do you think that Venus was not designed and Earth was?
Correct.
Okay, how do you know?
How I know that Earth was designed?
And Venus was not. What do you know about Venus that I don't, that Drew doesn't know? Because
it's almost look at the size comparison. It's almost the same size.
So what? Who cares?
It's so different.
Who cares? That doesn't actually point to your conclusion. All it does is say that's a thing. Okay? You're implying a cause that you have no justification for implying. You actually need to show a cause. And I think if you had that proof, you wouldn't be bringing up the atmosphere. You'd actually just be giving the proof. But you don't have it.
What's going on right now is just it's a restatement of the first premise of the teleological argument over and over. And what we're asking for is a defense of the second premise.
Could you restate the second premise?
Sure. The only reasonable explanation for this appearance of purpose is that natural things are ultimately the product of an immensely powerful supernatural intelligence, namely God.
But if you look at our atmosphere, we're getting hit by 100 tons of meteoroids every day, and most of them are burning up.
Okay. Why is that evidence? Again, you're just saying things that I'm wearing boots. This is a book. This guy sitting next to me, his name is Drew.
Why does a fact being emotionally impactful or just astonishing or interesting have anything to do with the necessary conclusion that a God must have been involved?
We think this is a bunch of interesting, awesome stuff too, man. That doesn't mean that you get to squeeze your God in there.
I understand your skepticism.
I'm glad. How come you don't apply that skepticism yourself?
What do you mean?
Well, you admire the skepticism. How come you don't apply it yourself?
I think we are a designed species.
I didn't ask you about whether or not you think we're a designed species. I asked you, how come you're not applying skepticism?
I'm just not applying. I would never apply that amount of skepticism that you're applying.
Why?
Because I think it depends on how big your bias is.
Well, everybody has a bias. That's fine. Being aware of it actually helps you as you're applying skepticism. But why? It just...
Well, my bias is towards the Bible, and your bias is more towards naturalism.
You have no idea what my bias is because I haven't told you. So why? No, that's a cop-out. I asked you a question, and you just... No. Why?
Why what?
Why don't you apply skepticism in your life the same way that you would see us applying skepticism and you said you admired it?
I have no problem with applying skepticism towards the Bible.
Okay, please do, and then call back and we'll take a look.
All right.
All right.
Have a good day. Thanks.
You too. Bye.
Thanks for the call. It's an interesting one. There was a good amount of space in the audio there. Good amount of silence.
Dead air.
You know, if it was a straight epistemology video, you would see like this for like 3 straight minutes.
Some chin scratching.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the format of this show just doesn't really add to it.